really separating teams. Look at this lovely catch by David Moore and a great pass, great angle. Now, he can tap that over the bar here, but he sees there's a goal chance on, so he takes it another step or two and absolutely buries it. Like a tremendous goal. Like O'Sullivan, I think, is probably the best player in the country over the last 3-4 years. And Gooch, of course, not too far behind him. But that is an outstanding score. And here's the frightening aspect for the whole of the country. This is one of their newcomers. Here's Kieran O'Leary. Now watch this for a pass. Now, he can tap that over the bar, but he smells the goal. Puts inside a very good defender in Damien Burke. And we're saying earlier, they all look like dribbles, but he's so good at this. He puts it on the floor because it looks like a mishit almost, Michael. But he knows exactly what he's doing. And they're desperate hard to save.
The coach obviously said to us, well, listen, you keep doing, you keep sending that ball over, I'll do the rest.
Tremendous finish, but the pass was an outstanding pass for a young fella. As I said, all 7, before the start of the all made a contribution.
Yeah. All right, Kevin, thank you very much for the moment. Well, now let's take a look at some of the action elsewhere in Division 1 from last night. Now, in a little while, the meeting of Tyrone and Cork in Omagh. But first, it's Dublin and Monaghan from Parnell Park. Here's Joanne Cantwell.
There was a frantic start to this encounter, with both sides playing a fast running game. Much of the early possession and territory belonged to Monaghan. When Darren Hughes sent a great diagonal ball into Vinnie Corey, Hugh McElroy marked a fine performance by putting the Ulster side 3-1 up after 8 minutes. In the 10th minute, Dublin took control, when Kevin McManaman's low kick found Bernard Brogan. His goal edged the home side in front. They tagged on a few more points to make that lead a little more comfortable, with the free taking Brogan bringing his first half tally to 1-4, and the otherwise quiet Eamon Fennell continuing his scoring form from midfield to put Dublin 4 points up at half time. 5 minutes into the second half, Monaghan looked in real trouble. Desi Moan's follow through into Alan Hubbard earned him a second yellow card. They'd already lost Dermot McArdle and Corey to injury. But 6 minutes into the second half, Monaghan looked revived. A hopeful ball forward made its way to Tommy Freeman. He wasn't an all-star a couple of years ago for nothing. Dubs captain Paul Griffin picked up a nasty-looking knee injury as Monaghan moved in front, and then the pendulum swung back in Dublin's favour in the 52nd minute. Darren McGee took a fine mark, sent the ball quickly to Ross McConnell, who picked out Brogan well, on to Kevin McManaman, and he found the net. The pendulum stopped swinging after that, as Dublin, with their extra man, maintained their advantage, and a late flurry of points made the scoreline more flattering. Brendan McManaman's finished off the win 2-11 to 1-9.
There was talk of crisis in Tyrone ahead of this game. Injuries, a lack of discipline and form had left them rooted to the bottom of the table and without a league win this season. Talk, though, is cheap in these parts. Owen Mulligan was instrumental in firing them into an early 3-point lead. The long journey from Leeside may have been to blame for Cork's slow start, but when they did get going, they looked unstoppable. This point from Donncha O'Connor and Pearse O'Neill's effort were the pick of 7 unanswered points that saw the visitors race into a 5-point lead. But all Cork's great work came undone in a crazy 2-minute spell late in the half. It all started when Colm Kavanagh spotted Ken O'Halloran off his line, who picked a spot with a beautiful lob. The game was turned on its head moments later when Tommy McGuigan beat O'Halloran at the second attempt. Normal service was resumed early in the second half as Cork hit 5 points without reply. It could have been more had Colm O'Neill's effort been a couple of inches lower. It was time to dig deep. Shawnee Kavanagh was introduced for his first appearance since last summer. It triggered another mini revival. Tyrone struck their 3rd goal of the game. Another sub, Ryan Mellon, making no mistake from close range. Donncha O'Connor was sent off late in the game for swinging his arm at Tommy McGuigan. The contact looked minimal. The final whistle confirmed a 2-point victory for Tyrone, who proved that goals do indeed win games. They're up and running, and all that talk of a crisis looks a little premature.
Yeah, Darren Farrell and Joanne Cantrell reporting there on those wins for Dublin and Tyrone. Kevin McStay, let's look back on those again. Whatever about there being a crisis, certainly Tyrone needed a win anyway last night.
Yeah, and got it. Not 100% sure how they got it, because they looked in a lot of trouble on 2 or 3 occasions. But they got the goals, and as we were reflecting in the match today, goals are vital. But it was a tremendous match under lights last night in Omagh. Great excitement to it. And they're off and up and running again. It's tight, as you know, for the league, so a couple of wins could, land you into, well, certainly a safe zone, but a bit of work to do yet. I thought Cork were unlucky now that, they were in it for long periods.
It was a funny kind of a game in the sense that Cork played some lovely football, took some great points.
Yeah, but goal is worth 3 of them. That's the problem. And they got them at the right time. Coming up to half time, looked game over, but they got 2 goals, swung it around. Completely different scene than the second half. And
from Tyrone's point of view, I suppose, nice to see one of those star players back again in the Tyrone shirt.
Didn't do a whole lot now when he came on, it has to be said.
But he's back.
He's back and he's breathing, and he's, I'm sure group hugs all around it. So everyone seems to be happy enough up in Tyrone, certainly with last night's win.
Yeah, let's look at the other game that we saw there, Dublin. In fairness, Dublin have made a very good start to this league campaign.
Well, you can't argue with 4-0, as they say. 8 points, top of the division. They've changed their tactics dramatically, and obviously they've changed their personnel even more dramatically, and it's working for them. As we're just discussing earlier, winning dirty. There's nothing wrong with that either sometimes. But when we see it now come summer, it's not going to look that pretty. Like they've huge numbers behind the ball, and then they're breaking out at speed, counter-attacking stuff.
But nonetheless, does it not indicate perhaps that they're saying to themselves, listen, we have to do something different here. We can't be doing what we win the Leicester Championship, which is grand. Everybody expects to win Ireland, then kind of fading out. They're clearly looked at themselves and said, we need to do something different.
Well, I mean, if you keep doing things the same and getting the same result, you shouldn't be surprised. So they are cutting their cloth, according to the measure. I'm not saying they're a terrific team, but they're maxing out right now, and Pacquiao has to be very happy with that. 8 points from 4 games, I'll say, Michael. Sure, you couldn't argue with that.
No, you could not, of course. OK, let's take a check then on the results from this weekend in the Allianz National Football League. Well, here are the results then from Division 1, that one game today, seeing Kerry take the points from Saltale. And then, of course, those wins last night for Mayo, Tyrone and Dublin. And so then the league table now looks like this, Kevin.
Yeah, Dublin, Mayo, Cork, a small bit of a gap. As Dublin at the top. The bottom 4 then, they're going to be thinking about relegation. 1 or 2 could push them up. Kerry stuck in the middle somewhere, could make a move, could be involved in the top part, but could also be involved in the bottom. Depends how it runs.
Absolutely. OK, let's have a look at Division 2 then. Well, Down's victory over Donegal from last night. Tipperary with a good win over Meath. Armagh getting the victory over Kildare at Crossmaglen, and Laois with a 7-point win over Westmeath. And this then, Kevin, is how the table stands there.
Yeah, down in Armagh have a gap at this stage, Michael. And tasty fixture now next weekend, down at home to Armagh. That'll tell us a fair bit. It won't tell us everything, but it'll tell us a fair bit. I think what we can say with some degree of certitude is Westmeath are slipping downwards, probably looking at a new division next year.
I'm afraid so, yeah. OK, then let's move on to Division 3. Cavan and Wexford was the game played last night. And today then, we had victories for Louth, for Sligo and for Antrim, and Antrim lead the division there. And then in Division 4, Waterford got the win over Limerick yesterday evening, and in today's games then we had wins for Carlow, for Wicklow and for Clare. So then Wicklow, Clare and Waterford all on 8 points at the top of the table, and Clare actually with the game in hand as well. OK, at this point here on the programme we're going to take a commercial break. Now, when we come back, it's hurling. It's the clash of Cork and Kilkenny from Páirc Uí Chaoimh. See you again. And welcome back again to Sunday Sport. Now, this time last year, the National Hurling League campaign was a washout for Cork as the dispute of players rumbled on and on. Well, the current campaign has been a different affair, with the Leesiders setting the early pace along with Galway. Well, today they face the defending league champions Kilkenny at Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Commentator on this one is Ger Canning.
Cork make 6 changes from the team that easily beat Limerick for this, their first match against Kilkenny in nearly 12 months. Donal O'Cusack returns in goal. The Newtown duo of Cathal Naughton and Ben O'Connor are back as well. And Osaki O'Halpine gets the nod ahead of Michael Cusson at number 14. Kilkenny are pleased to have Richie Power available once again after he was stretchered off against Offaly 2 weeks ago. His presence compensates for the loss of Michael Rice out through injury. And elsewhere, Michael Grace gets his chance at corner forward at the expense of Richie Hogan, who's also got an injury. This time trying to break out of defence there is Jackie Tyrrell. Jackie fouled. Free here to be taken by John Dalton. Farrell distance in there towards Richie Power, broken up. Richie Power still in possession, waiting for a free to come, and it does come, and it's a penalty. As Richie Power